Hey everybody, it's GobletX, and welcome back to another Arena Direct event. This is going to be a very competitive, very high-stakes, sealed Modern Horizons 3 event. We're playing best-of-1 games, trying to win 6 games before 2 losses. Pretty hard, and it's a super high-variance format, trying to win the Chrysalis Lottery. If you want to hear more in-depth stuff about the event, check out my first run of the Arena Direct, but this time, we're just going to hop right back in there and try to see if we can get some physical Magic the Gathering product. So what do we got for the rares? We have a Johnny, which is incredible, and everything else sucks. It's absolute garbage, and it makes me sad. Not really. There's a lot of really bad cards here, though. Flare of Fortitude, Kali of the Vast, Pearl Medallion, and Bloodstained Mire are all either unplayable or just not important. Bloodstained Mire being not important, but Medallion, Flare, and Kalia are just unplayable in Draft and Sealed. So pretty bad rares here. White of the Reliquary is just a solid role filler. Amphibian Downpour just a solid role filler. Invert Polarity just a solid role filler. They're okay cards if you're already playing those colors, but they're not really dragging you there. So we have one rare that we're excited about, and it's a Johnny. So maybe we've got really good commons and uncommons at least. Stuff to go with a Johnny to make a really good white aggro deck, or maybe we'll get some bomb rare level commons and uncommons. Maybe we'll find some Writhing Chrysali. Let's find out. We have 1 Titan's Vanguard, 0 Writhing Chrysalis. Writhing Chrysalis, if you've never played the format, if you don't know, a card that is a common, a 4-mana 2/3 that spits out 2 Eldrazi spawn. It's also got reach. It also gets a +1/+1 counter whenever you sack those Eldrazi spawn. It's a card that goes wide, it goes tall, it ramps you up, it blocks flyers. It just does everything so well that it has been playing as the 3rd highest win rate card in the entire format, better than almost every single rare and mythic, and better than literally every other common and uncommon. So one of the things you want to check if you're really trying to win a box, did you get some Writhing Chrysalis? Because if you have 2 or 3, you basically just need to force red or green. If you have 1, still probably good to go that direction. But you can kind of choose something. If you have at least 2, though, you're red-green, pretty much. We have 0 then, so that's 0 for 0 out of both of the Arena Directs that we get to play this weekend. So that's a pretty big bummer. What do we have for colorless and multicolored stuff? We've got a lot of fixing. We've got a lot of landscapes here for trying to do some 5-color mush. White, blue, black, black, red, green, green, white, blue, blue, red, white, black, green, blue. So yeah, a lot of different colors can be thrown in here, but there's nothing that we'd even be splashing in because we don't have any good rares or mythics. And when it comes to like bomb level uncommons, there's 1 Titan's Vanguard, which isn't really a splashable one because it's specifically good with a bunch of colorless creatures. So that doesn't really lend itself to any splashing. What about other strong commons, uncommons? Yeah, Battle Wagon, which is really good for energy specifically, so it doesn't really lend itself to splashing. Yeah, I mean, I can splash, but I don't think I have a great reason to. I think we find the most synergistic 2-color deck. We do have 2 cards towards blue-black, draw 3. We have 3 green-black cards, but none of them really synergize together. They're just decent cards individually. We've got 2 Watchdogs towards green-white aggro. It's about +1/+1 counters and auras and equipment. It's about modifying your creatures. And we've got great cheap green removal. 2 Horrific Assaults to have one of our creatures deal damage to an opponent's creature equal to its power, and 2 Signature Slams, which is like the same thing, but you get to use it at instant speed and get a +1/+1 counter on the card you're using it on. So that's really good cheap green removal. So if we have good cheap aggressive stuff out of white, green-white aggro with our Johnny could be an awesome spot to be. So I like that double Watchdog towards that. We do have good stuff for ramp with double Voidcraw towards double Riddle Keeper at the top of the curve. So that's another cool looking option. Some green-blue ramp nonsense. We don't have any of the like really good cards to ramp into though. Or any of the really, really good cheap ramp cards, just the Voidcraws towards that. Yeah, none of the super good spawn producers. Some Brood Scales are fine, but they're not as good as like the 3-mana 3/3 that spits out a spawn when you play it and when it dies. Or like the Malevolent Rumble that pulls out a permanent, spits out a spawn, stuff like that. Okay, I like green-white aggro. I like green-blue ramp. Blue-black draw 3 also looks like a thing that might be available. If our blue and our black are good? Okay, our black is garbage. Yeah, no, our black is so bad. Oh my god. Do we really have 5 black cards in the sealed pool? One, two, three, four, five. Yeah. We have 5 black cards in the sealed pool. We have Breathe Your Last as a good black card. And then 3 pieces of filler. And then 1 that doesn't do anything. Unless you build around it pretty heavily, which you can't do in sealed. We don't have that much token production, so black is actually unplayable. We're not doing blue-black stuff. White looks like good chunk of playables here, good chunk of spells in general. Blue, good chunk of spells. That's nice. Red, good chunk of spells. Green, good chunk of spells. Okay, so some kind of non-black deck, unless we're splashing black. I do really want to look at green-white with Watchdogs as a thing. Okay, Symbiote does literally nothing, but these other 2-mana or less creatures, the Johnny, Slith, Brood Scales, and Watchdogs, are all great cheap options for aggro. We then curve into 1, 2, 3, 4 3-drops. There's an Auxiliary, which is an incredible 4-drop when you start aggressively. Then Rosecott Knight to top it off. With some enchantments. The Elk, the Umbra, maybe a Muster, ideally not. That's interesting. I'll probably play the Nyxborn Hydra as well. Stow that on later. I don't think Drowner of Truth fits in here, though. It's too high mana. So we'd cut those and still have 13 creatures. Are there any non-creature creature cards here? No. So there's only 13 creatures in this deck, which isn't great for aggro. We can cut 4 more cards. Decree and Flare for sure. They're just kind of unplayable. Muster has no good combos here. Then, like a Jolted Awake. Jolting Awake a Johnny's fine, but we have no energy synergy really. It's just jolting up a 2-drop. Feels a little inconsistent. Yeah, I think that's probably the cut there. Yeah. Streamlined little green-white aggro deck. Try to outrace everybody while they're setting up big dorky plays is a thing we can do. Double check our colorless stuff here and see what fixers that we have. Yeah, no, our color stuff sucks for this deck. Fixers, anything there? There's a green-white landscape. We have 3 green-black landscapes, so we could splash in like a little bit of black. But our black isn't good. The only good black card we have is double black. Well, we've got a White of the Reliquary. Not the most splashable thing, though. Yeah, no, it would just be pure green-white aggro nonsense here, which would be this deck, which... Solid little curve out. We can try to cheese people since our sealed pool is definitely pretty weak. We're probably going to have to try to cheese people and get under their big, powerful plays. So I think that's a decent option for doing that. We'll put the Watchdog as the deck art and lock that one in. But I do want to take a look at some other options. Make sure that I'm not overlooking anything here. But I feel like that's likely where we're going to end up. How good does the green-blue ramp deck here? That was the main other thing I saw that looked available. It looked possible. For sure. So Symbiote doesn't do anything. I like Triple Meddler a lot. Don't love the Aether Spikes. or the gift here, because we don't care about the counters. Even repast. As a trick or a tapped green source is less exciting. We've got no like good combos for Tamio. Meets the story circle, so that seems just pretty bad. Battle Wagon with 1 Tune the Narrative and 1 Royal Cartographer. I guess there'd be a Tune the Narrative, a Royal Cartographer, and 2 Aether Spikes, but even with all of those, I don't think Battle Wagon's going to be good. You have to be pretty dedicated to energy. Yeah, I guess we can keep it real simple here and just cut these 6. That's our 40 card deck. I really like Meddlers. I feel like they'll play even better in Sealed. Just the chunky body that stuns your opponent's best card. When people aren't curving out as consistently, this can just like lock down the one thing and then just become the biggest threat on the board. The double Void Craw is nice. I guess I only have Drowner of Truth and Hydra to really Void Craw into, but I've got enough landscapes in here. These can also draw a bunch of cards for me. Oh, right, I've got the Riddle Keepers. Yeah, triple Meddler, double Riddle Keeper is just like huge, stunning top end. I think I'm gonna green-blue. I'm gonna go green-blue here. If I have really good fixing for white, I guess I'll splash in a Johnny, but I feel like just green-blue ramp with huge like tempo stunning top end plays. A little more than just the green-white aggro. I think the green-white aggro was just like a few creatures off from being really consistent at curving out, and that's kind of an issue. Alright, so there's 2 green-blue landscapes that can also... There's 3 green-blue landscapes that can also tap colorless for the Riddle Keeper, so that's probably worth it. I don't think Flesh Raker is worth it here. I mean, maybe. It's going to be pretty hard to cast. 3 landscapes in the deck. But if we cast this before any other colorless spells, then it's pretty good. And we do have 2 Void Craws giving colorless as well. Brood Scale can give an Eldrazi spawn towards colorless. It's interesting. And I guess actually we could go so far as to just splash a tiny bit of red here towards the Vanguard, because we're running a good chunk of colorless cards. And then this landscape is blue or our splash color of red. This landscape is green or our splash color of red. We can run like a single mountain in here. Actually looks like a pretty reasonable splash. Also splash and discharge, but I think I'd have to run more than the 1 red source at that point, which I don't really want to do. Oh yeah, and then running all these landscapes, we get to put the Flesh Raker in at that point as well. Yeah, we'll go big Eldrazi this time. So now we get to cut 9 more cards. Well, I think it's because there's way more than 17 lands now for some reason. Yeah, 22. It stopped doing auto lands, so cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to 17 lands, plus Sink into Stupor for an 18th land, Drowner for a 19th land, which is fine. Because both of these are strong enough that we want to cast them as spells a good chunk of the time, and we're going to be trying to get to these big 8 drops. So we are a deck that wants a lot of lands. So probably cutting 4 spells here, but maybe just 3. So Tune the Narrative for sure. An energy card. Even Royal Cartographer is kind of just an energy card. If we can landfall trigger 6 times, that'll be something, but probably not going to happen often. Trickster's Elk is fine. You temporarily turn an opposing creature to a 3/3, and then when that dies, you get a 3/3 back out of this. It's never played super duper well for me. I kind of like the idea of like just Voidcraw jumping up the curve here and just kind of skipping over 3s like that. When we have like Visionary and Witness is really good value play 3s, and Flesh Raker towards the colorless theme. I just think Trickster's Elk just does the least synergy stuff in the deck. Makes it kind of one of the first cuts. I could cut a land with Sink into Stupor and Drowner of Truth. I have to cut something. Maybe one of the Meddlers or the Nyxborn Hydra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 colorless creatures? My lord. Let's go Fleshraker, let's go Vanguard. Maybe Planar Genesis is actually kind of hard to cast, the amount of landscapes we're going to play. I mean, the mana base is going to look more like something like this. Still a chunk of landscapes, though. Flexible, though. Just pick up the best card in your top 4. Early game, when you pick up a land with it, you just put it right on the board. We're low on cheap stuff to do. It could be rough with all the landscapes, but I'm still going to try it out. I just really don't know what we have room to cut. If not just the Nyxborn Hydra here, we've still got just big Eldrazi top end. I don't know, I really love the idea of giving stuff trample, so I'm going to keep it in here. Maybe we can cut 1 removal spell when we have 2 Assault, 2 Slam, Insignificance, Downpour. I feel like Insignificance is probably the worst of them. But maybe, even though I like Insignificance a little bit, maybe because it's removal we can use even when we don't have a good creature on board, maybe it's better to have a better variety of removal instead of like 4 different things that we have to have a good creature on board to use. I don't know, I could see the argument either way, but I think I still will just cut the Insignificance as the least efficient removal. I mean, maybe Insignificance is better than Downpour in this deck, because this deck is not going to be very good at casting too many more than 1 spells a turn. I mean, if you can Downpour after casting just 1 other spell, then it's already pretty good. And if they cast a spell that triggers Storm as well. So I guess you just use this during their turn after they cast 1 spell. And then it's just a double, turn 2 things into 1/1s. This is probably better than Insignificance if we treat it that way, rather than trying to storm off during our turn. I don't know. I'm just going to cut like 1 piece of interaction, and we'll make sure the mana base is good here. 13 green, 11 blue, 1 red. So green and blue almost tied. And then just our 1 mountain. We've got right now 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ways to get green. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ways to get blue. So just a tiny bit less blue than green. I think that's where we're at pretty much, right? Yeah. We will lock in the mana base like that. Call it a deck here. Get ready to hop in that gameplay and see how it does. All right, here we are for game 1. Nothing to ramp into here, but solid cheap interaction and solid cheap creatures, which is what you want in your opener. Got the green and the blue already. Find the red here for the splash, just in case. Good turn to get a tap land out of the way, and I'll still have colorless available. Alright, blue, white, and red from our opponent. All the energy colors so far. Blue, red, white, and black. There's Pyro Surfer. Jam in for 2 here. The Signature Slam. Not bad, but I don't want to do that right now because it'll shut off my ability to adapt, so I'd rather just adapt and Horrific Assault to kill the Pyro Surfer. When I have 3 removal spells in hand, I think it's reasonable to just kill the Pyro Surfer immediately, but it's not necessary here. Yeah, I'm just gonna hold off. double landfall for double battle cry, but that doesn't matter unless they play more haste creatures this turn. Eighth, Famed Mechanist. So they can keep putting +1/+1 counters. They can proliferate or populate, so they can keep making more copies of their tokens, or keep adding counters to everything that currently has counters. So definitely want to kill Kaith here. Seems like a solid effect, so we'll Horrific Assault and keep the Signature Slam for later. Sure. And we're kind of just winning the race with a 3/3 right now, just hanging out. I guess I should have played the island over this landscape so I could downpour 2 creatures if I want to do that instead of Signature Slam. Yeah, that would have been considerably better than the landscape, just to have the option, even though we're more likely to slam. If it's small enough to die to a slam. Inspired Inventor. +1/+1 counter on the servo, jam for 4. Looks like we're not really interested in either. Nyxborn Hydra. I don't really want to tap out here. I should have cracked the landscape, probably. They're at 10. Well, thanks to the Eldrazi spawn, I can play the Witness and still hold up either of these. And if we don't have to cast either, we can just adapt the Witness, picking up a land. Not the greatest. But it'll mean I've got a 4/3 on the board for counterattacks. Alright, Inspired Inventor. +1/+1 counter. Onto the Pyro Surfer. No land for turn, though. They send in for combat with those. Take 5. Clear out one of the inventors with Signature Slam. Be able to lethal them with Signature Slam into Hydra. Maybe. Signature Slam into Meddler is not lethal, but if the Hydra isn't lethal, I might as well Meddler instead. So bestow green 1 2 3 4 5. 9 power with trample, block takes 7 8 and 9. They go to 1 life against Hydra. So it isn't lethal, so we Meddler instead. Actually just play it defensively here. Adapt to, so we do this. They have terrible blocks and we have good blocks. I might have missed lethal there. Maybe there was a way. But this looks real safe. All right, start things off 1-0 as we head into round 2. Here we are now on the play for round 2. We've got Voidcraw into Meddler. Quite the curve. Then witness something back from Grave later. It's a Flesh Raker. That's so awkward on the curve here because I'd want to play both of my colorless spells first, ideally. Yeah, it's nice to have, though, but we're just going to play Voidcraw. I guess if they don't play a creature next turn, we don't get the stun value from Meddler. Or if they kill Voidcraw to where I can't play Meddler next turn anyway, and I guess we play the Flesh Raker. Signature Slam. No thanks. Let's Meddler down the Voidcraw. For now. Next turn I have 6 mana up to go Flesh Raker Signature Slam. Probably kill their Mana Dork because I can just downpour the big creatures later. Ooh. Yeah, Repurposer's very good. Double Signature Slam? I can't do that, I don't have double green. But it's cool. Flesh Raker literally just a 2/2 right now. I guess we just let them keep all this stuff. Play something big and then we kill whatever big thing they play. I don't think I should be spending removal on Voidcraw when even if I do that, they can play a 6-drop next turn off of land thanks to this Repurposer. Microspawn, ramp up. Oh, the love of God. Why? Land destruction, man. I always forget that can do that, and then it just gets me in the games where I only have one source of one color. Jesus Christ. It's a cast trigger, too. Yeah, I mean, I can't do anything about that. Now I can't removal spell this turn if I don't do one right now. If I Signature Slam, they could have their own in response to ruin mine. But it's better than Downpour right now, because if I Downpour, I'm just making 3/3 and a 1/3, a 1/1. Alright, they don't have their own response. There goes our green source. God dang it, dude. Oh, the land destruction. If they double block both their 3/3s on the meddler, I have to downpour on the aggressive here. It feels bad when it's my last spell I know I can cast right now. It's like if they do that and then I have to downpour and then they just play a 7/7 or something. We're dying pretty quick. Well, we've got 8 more green sources still in the deck. We hit 2 of them because I hit the landscape that cracks for the forest and of course the forest off of that landscape. This is going to be a really tilting game of Magic, isn't it? They bounce my green creature after they exile my green land off their rare. Ay, ay, ay. At this point, I'm so doomed if I don't hit the green source anyway that I'm just gonna deal with these things. Guess who's doomed? This was only 6 mana as well, so even if I did like spend removal, even if I did spend removal on Voidcraw early, they still would have cast it that turn because they had spawn and 5 lands. Good lord, this is ridiculous. Now they get to exile our enchantment removal spell and bounce our 5-drop while I'm stuck on 4 mana. Lets them send in with the team. The worst land we could have drawn in the entire deck. Because we have to shoot ourselves to do it. But it is a land. So it's not the worst draw in the entire deck. The worst draw. Any green spell would have been a worse draw. We get reverse meddlered. The 4/5 is locked down. Wipe my whole board, why not at this point? Now I can play my tap land. So we hit the worst land draw we could have hit last turn, and then the worst land draw we could have hit this turn. Tap land when I'm dead on board. Alright, well, you can't do much if your opponent has land destruction, and you've only hit one of your main color. One source of your main color. Absolutely brutal, but really nothing we could have done. It is what it is. That's Magic. Alright, here we are for game 3 now, 1-1, so we have no losses to give. We need to win every game from this point on to stay in contention. This is a really, really nice opener with turn 2 Planar Genesis into turn 3 Voidcraw to guarantee a very early Riddle Keeper at worst. But if we draw into the Meddler, we'll get to play that even sooner than the Riddle Keeper. Sneaky Snacker, turn 2 from our opponent. We'll see how much synergy they have for that. We definitely pick up the land here, because we've only got 3 in hand, and that'll give us the extra ramp up. Colorless Source towards Riddle Keeper seems big. Both of these are green-blue, they're the same colorless sources, basically. Drowner of Truth. I think I hold on to this to potentially play as a spell, if they don't kill the Void Craw. We're 1 land draw away from doing that. They do kill the Void Craw, well, we're still 1 land draw away from Meddler. Didn't draw the land, though, so now we probably have to play Drowner here. Because we're pretty far away from casting that without Void Craw. Yep. Royal Cartographer, there's the land for the energy. And Dross Claw to get real aggressive here. Yikes. Unfathomable Truths. Big card draw spell. Meddler's certainly the best play, though. We need to be affecting the board right now. Just stun the Snacker. Doesn't really matter what we stun. Battle Wagon. Yikes. I don't think we have anything in the deck that can deal with the Battle Wagon. Unless it's crude. They already can't block Meddler well, so I don't really need to stun any of their blockers with the Meddler. Battle Wagon Cartographer is kind of a gross little combo here. Cast some colorless spells towards just hard casting Riddle Keeper instead of sacking stuff to it. So for now, let's just combat with Signature Slam up. Okay, this looks good. Metal down the Battle Wagon here. I think so. Oh, it only targets creatures, it's not permanents. Oof. Never mind. Guess it's Snacker again then. Oh my god, I don't know why I thought because Battle Wagon was summoning sick, they couldn't tap it as an artifact. I should have stunned the Cartographer to stop them from doing the draw 3 this turn. Familiar? The Unfathomable Truths? A single land draw from just casting Riddle Keeper without emerging anyway? And Signature Slam's kind of a big deal. Okay, they're not going to Cartographer draw 3, they're saving their energy. Okay, big stuff. Big stuff. Oh my god. Really? Oh, that's so perfect. Alright, Arena. I'll give you my 5,000 gems today. Well... sometimes they just have it. I'm pretty sure still... were the best lines that we had available. Sometimes they just have the Mana Tithe. Exactly. Oh, that's gross. They're still down to 9, and Fleshraker can get some chip damage in here. So, game's not completely over, but I don't feel like we're favored after that Hope Ender. Because their deck has got really, really good grind value here. As soon as their Cartographer and Battle Wagon are both untapped, we're in trouble. And now we just flood a little to where they definitely have time to get those untapped. Hopefully this one thing can go in our favor. Okay, no spell in response to that would be huge. Okay. Kind of a big deal in the reverse this time around. It's almost as big as the Hope Ender was. It's an Etched Slith for a blocker. Dross Claw on the Snacker, that's a lot of damage if they send in. But they're pretty far behind to send it in. Yeah, so they can't. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can cast the only colorless spell left in my deck if I draw it, just hard casting it for 8, which is the Riddle Keeper. Nothing else needs colorless anymore. Yeah. I guess the Void Crawls could maybe use it, but I'd rather thin a land out here. Well, we'll shoot them for 2, just playing this. This crew 4, right? Oh, never mind, I don't shoot them at all. Main deck consigned to memory to stop Writhing Chrysalis nonsense, I assume. Does blow us out. Well, it doesn't blow us out, it's a 1-for-1 counterspell trade. Okay, so what, they crew a Battle Wagon. Crew Battle Wagon. Double block Meddler to kill it. If I attack with all 3 of these, they can't do that. If I attack with all 3, they have to block Meddler, or they're dead. That's their only option. Oh, I guess they get to tap something with Battle Wagon here. Okay. Straight up, the only option is block Meddler, right? No, they can go to 1 life, killing Fleshraker. Trade, chump, go to 1. Feel like we do that. Trade, chump, go to 1. I guess it's not trade because they crew with Snacker alone. I don't know where I got the other idea. This is still put them to 1 though, which is the big part. Okay. They're at 1 life. If a single creature gets in, we win. They can tap 1 and chump the other now. Tap 1 with Battle Wagon, chump 1 with Snacker. They missed their opportunity to tap somebody. They must have instant speed removal then. Oh, right, they can do that. Okay, well, then we make that a 1-1. After blocks are declared, so we keep both Meddlers. Alright, I think that one was a lot closer than it looked. Obviously, life total-wise wasn't close at all, but they had really good potential value engines on their side between Cartographer and Battle Wagon, both of which can end up drawing them like a million cards. So we didn't manage to keep the pressure on quite as much as we did, get all those stuns in and stuff. Like, that's where they come ahead and draw way more cards than us in the long game, get really far ahead on board. So that Hope Ender Quaddle was really terrifying. That's where things could start turning around. I was really expecting a draw 3 Cartographer earlier there. We went for the more defensive lines, and we can just barely sneak by all the defense. We are now 2-1, heading into round 4. Here we are for round 4, on the play with turn 2 Planar Genesis again. Nothing to ramp into yet. But worst case scenario, I guess I can draw something to ramp into off the Genesis if we flood out. Well, there's a Riddle Keeper to ramp into. So I'm pretty sure I'm hitting a land off Genesis. Yeah, Hydra or land. I'm gonna hit the land here, get the colorless source for Riddle Keeper. Ooh, Serum Visionary Sacket for Riddle Keeper is big. Sack to emerge Riddle Keeper. We might hold off on Voidcraw to try to do that instead. I don't mind that at all. And then these are good draws. Yeah, these are real good draws. So next turn, Riddle Keeper, then Vanguard, then Drowner, I feel like is the curve, and we just give up on Voidcraw at this point. I guess it doesn't matter the order we put them in. I'm playing Riddle Keeper next turn. Stunning 2 lands. Trickster's Elk. Alright, they have a 3/3 on board and almost no mana up this turn. Could Voidcraw Downpour in the same turn later. That's kind of sweet. Maybe I should have stunned the plains, because I think the cheaper white removal would be more likely to deal with Riddle Keeper. Like if they have Dog Umbra here, they go land Dog Umbra. Land 2 mana green removal would not kill Riddle Keeper, because it's all like damage based to the power of their creature. Like Stump Stomp and Horrendous, whatever. I should have stunned Crackling Falls Plains, I guess. To play around removal. I just really didn't want them to end up like playing a Mana Dork here. Going land Mana Dork. Alright. We're gonna get a big Riddle Keeper attack in here. Wait, they're just passing through with all this mana up. Sink into Stupor is an incredible draw when your opponent does something like that. Pass with a bunch of mana open. You just bounce whatever removal they're trying to play at instant speed. Force them to hold off on it for another turn. That would mean that we don't cast anything this turn either, so it would have to be something that's really, really bad for us to get me to Stupor. But having that option is very nice. Maybe I should have cracked Landscape instead of keeping it for a potential second Riddle Keeper. Because cracking the Landscape towards a blue source would have been better for drawing exactly a double blue spell, so I could Stupor and play one of these. Okay. They don't do anything. They're at 1 life. I guess I just hold up Sink it to Stupor. That feels like the most guaranteed way to kill them. Make sure they don't play a board wipe. Alright, and they're just dead. They cast a single elk, and then we're sad. And we are now 3-1. We have beaten our record the first time around, and we're at a positive win rate no matter what out of this deck. Solid record, but hopefully we can win at least one more game here and get some of our gems back. Get something outside of the no reward bracket. We'll see as we head into Game 5. And here we are for Game 5 on the draw. We have turn 3 Voidcron no matter what. We don't have the red source for Vanguard, which is awkward. But if they don't have interaction, we have Voidcron to Meddler. We have Downpour for our own interaction. I think we just keep this. Don't think I can justify a mulligan on this. And okay. I'm not going to crack Landscape here. Very aggressive Rakdos deck from our opponent. It's quite sketchy. Horrific Assault's a great draw in this matchup. Removal, that'll gain us some life later. Probably have good cheap removal for Voidcraw, though. And their worst case scenario is sacking Simulacrum to kill it. I don't have a better play, though, because Downpour is really bad against their deck here. If they play just a decent 4-mana creature, I Downpour just that creature, because I don't want to put it on the Germ. I guess I put it on the Simulacrum as well, but if I don't Voidcraw right now, then it would be waiting so I can Voidcraw and Horrific Assault in the same turn. I guess I'd kill the Simulacrum and gain some life off of that play, or kill the Germ, gain some life. Yeah, if I play Voidcraw and they just go land, kill Voidcraw. You know what? No. If I play Voidcraw and they go land, kill Voidcraw, they have a 1/1 Germ. And that's it. Okay. If they have additional removal, then it is bad for me. Okay, I do have Meddler next turn. I could still Witness away the Germ here, but I don't gain life off of that. Is it better to hold up Downpour? Probably not. If they have Galvanic Discharge as well, though, I guess it is. Discharge would be brutal. I guess I just kill Simulacrum, right? Either way, I'm killing 1/1 essentially. By killing Simulacrum, I'm reducing that to 1/1 stats. Now they don't have onboard removal for Witness. And if Witness sticks around, it's huge. Not huge in its power and toughness, but in its impact on the game. Another Cranial Ram. Double Ram is spooky. That's for sure. Okay, Riddle Keeper's pretty good against Double Ram, but Meddler's enough for now. Stun one and block the other. No chumps for Evo Witness, so we'll send it in. Imskier, they lose a life draw card here. They've got a 5/5 now. They can throw their artifacts at me. Equals the sacked artifact's mana value to any target. This is a very synergistic sealed pool. Well, we Downpour that. Means I have 2 mana up for anything else. So we adapt Evolution Witness and downpour that. I think I have to downpour it right now so they can't fling any artifacts around. I'm actually going to play it really safe. And I'm going to Witness right now to play around any removal at instant speed where they kill their Witness in response to me trying to adapt. I feel like we've got the late game pretty set up here. We can make sure we survive. Alright, well, we've got an easy discard. Goodbye again, Voidcraw. I'm sorry. I failed you. Alright, kill the Reach creature's bad for me, but I've got the Riddle Keeper. Oh, what's really bad for me is all these artifacts on board to make it big enough to still kill Witness. I can't go to 6, though. This is the strongest Rakdos artifact deck I've ever seen, which is completely absurd, considering I've played against draft decks where it was wide open. Yeah, no, we're actually real dead. I guess I had to take 6 to be able to play Riddle Keeper there. Forgot about the Emerge. That was a bad punt. That's actually just a dead right now kind of punt, isn't it? Die a turn sooner. Jesus Christ, man. Well, that's ridiculous. Alright. I really punted out the last turn there. We could have still been in it, sort of. But if I didn't draw well, I would have just stunned the stuff, and then they would still, like, force me to trade Riddle Keeper off into Familiar and kill me with everybody else. So I would have had some more draws to try to find something to change the outcome of this game, but we still would have been very, very far behind even if I did. Take 6 damage, play Riddle Keeper. So yeah, that was the big punt, trading Riddle Keeper into the Germ. But if we reverse everything, let's say we didn't punt, we're at 6 life right now with a Riddle Keeper on board. They have a stunned Familiar and a stunned Germ. We have only a Riddle Keeper on board. They would have the other Germ out still, though. So they have a 3-1 Germ and a 1-1 they can attack with. So they'd have to skip attacks for this turn. The Eruption wouldn't do anything. So then they pass back to us. And I've got a Riddle Keeper I can't really attack. I play a Voidcraw here. The turn after. So I would draw a card and play a Voidcraw. But then they unstun. They can throw a Cranial Ram onto Familiar. I kind of have to trade. And then my Voidcraws are just crumbling. It really depends how I would have drawn. It was obviously worse. Play this way. And we would have had a shot. But then by the time they unstun, if I just hit like a land or something, if I missed for just one turn, they could even threaten like a go wide swing, put me to like 3, because I would have been at 6, take 3 from a single ram hitting me, kind of thing. Yeah, we would have had to win the top deck war real hard, even if we played super tight, and I did not play super tight. So we take our 10% chance of victory, turn it to 0%, but yeah, just an incredible aggro curve from the Rakdos artifact deck. And we get crushed. People showing up with their constructed decks to our sealed events. And we are 3-2. Obviously, would love to have gotten at least some gems back, and it would have been really cool to be able to get the max prize out, get the booster box. But I don't think we made particularly bad decks here. I think we found probably the strongest decks in our sealed pool. I'm pretty happy with the decks that we came up with. Obviously, some mistakes in gameplay that could have given us some extra turns and maybe turned that game around. Maybe we could have been 4-1 right now if we drew really well, could have rallied at the end of that game. But don't think the quality of our 2 sealed pools we got to play around with this time were that high or that likely to get the prize out. And I'm pretty happy with the decks that I built. think we built some cool stuff that played out about as best as it could have outside of some user error. So no prize out here, but I don't think we were particularly likely to hit the prize out with these sealed pools and these matchups, even played and built perfectly. So that's gonna end the Arena Directs this time around. Unfortunately, I only had time to record a couple. They announced Arena Directs as an event as a whole 4 days before the Arena Direct weekend, so I couldn't really take a day off of work. But I did manage to cut out of work early so that I could record a couple of these for you this weekend. But 2 weekends out, they are going to return with the Arena Direct Sealed Modern Horizons 3, the exact same event, exact same entry fee and prize out, so we can do at least a couple more when these return. Those, however, are once again going to hit at a horrible time for me. That's going to be the weekend that I am moving to a new apartment. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to like do a marathon stream and try to really grind it out and make sure I win a box. It's probably just going to be only 2 attempts again. But I'm going to try to fit in at least 2 so that we can play a couple of those events over the weekend. And maybe we can get lucky and get the box out of just 2 runs. But as I said before, the odds are really quite low. They're pretty stacked against you unless you are both very, very good at sealed, where you get a pretty consistent, pretty high win rate, and you have the time and the gems to play many, many times to use that high win rate to your advantage, because the larger your sample size, the more likely your 60 or 70% win rate is to convert into 1 victory in these events. Even if you are an incredible, incredible player, the odds of getting a box out of just 2 tries is pretty low. But if you get to do like 10 tries over the 2 weekends, that only costs you about $250 worth of gems, and that is pretty likely to get you the $250 prize of a Modern Horizons 3 Play Booster Box. So, we'll see. I will give it as many attempts as I have time for, but probably just 2 more. We'll do our best. We'll do our best, but that's for a couple weekends from now. For now, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. I hope to be live quite a bit more often once I get fully moved over to the new place. You can also check out the Patreon link if you want to support the channel directly, and other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.